So growing up, my family had this really nice brick mailbox. We lived in a subdivision. We're at the bottom of a little tiny hill. You know, living up in Michigan, we get a lot of snow, we get a lot of ice. Once about every 3 years, we always had a car that slid directly into that mailbox, took it out, and then we had to repair it. All right. 2 or 3 years later, another car slid directly in that mailbox, we had to repair it. We did this like 5 or 6 times in a span of 10 years, let's say. And eventually we got so sick of repairing the mailbox that we actually got a standard mailbox. And the past 15 years, my parents have never had a car hit that mailbox. All right, today we're going to be talking about a mailbox today, but my name is Andrew. I am the Michigan dad. I'm also a concealed carry school teacher. I'm here to protect your children. Today we're going to be talking about the Aimpoint Optic, Aimpoint ACRO P-2, also known as the Mailbox. If you can't tell about that guy right there, it looks exactly like a mailbox. We're going to be talking about this optic today because Aimpoint has a very good history of making durable optics. If you do not have an Aimpoint, that should be a goal of yours to get at least one Aimpoint into your arsenal. My favorite two optics that Aimpoint makes is the P2, and they also make the Aimpoint T2 for AR-15s. I do not have that optic. That will be a goal of mine to eventually have at least one of those optics on one of my AR-15s. Few things that I absolutely love about this optic is it's an enclosed emitter optic. That means it has glass in the back and it has glass in the front. My biggest gripe with open emitter optics is you have to clean out the window of the front optic because it gets dirty sometimes when you're concealed carrying it for long periods of time, or you're concealed carrying it for days and days and days, it gets dirty. Okay, sometimes the emitter itself can get clogged up with lint. I've never had that happen, but I've heard it does happen to people. You have to clean that out with a Q-tip that way, but I've never had that issue before. My biggest gripe with them is cleaning out that window every so often. With the enclosed emitter, you don't have that issue because there's nothing for that crud to get into. I've never had an issue with it sitting on top of the window. If it does sit on top of the window, it's real easy. Just wipe it off with your shirt. Boom, you're good to go. Let's go to the party. Okay. Next thing that I absolutely love about this is the buttons. The buttons are very tactile. It has a plus and a minus button for dot intensity going up and down. You can also turn it on and off with the negative button here on the side here if you're looking to turn it off every night and then turn it back on every morning. If that's how you want to run this optic, that is exactly how you do it. You just hold it to turn it off and then you just push a button to turn it back on. Very cool there. It has a 2032 battery on the side here, so you do not have to take the optic off to put a battery on, which is awesome. It goes for about 50,000 hours. It's said to have gone. I change the battery every year. Shouldn't have to worry about that. I've been running this one for about 6 to 8 months as of right now, so it's still running, and I keep it on all the time. All right, but battery life is not an issue. If you guys remember the original Aimpoints, that battery life was atrocious. You had to change the battery every month or two. I never bought one pretty much for that reason right there, was the battery life. When they fixed the battery life on this optic, I jumped on this optic so quick. Another thing I like about this optic is the dot and the glass is incredibly clear. The dot is incredibly crisp. There's zero problems with this glass. This is probably one of the nicest glasses. This is probably one of the nicest glass and dots I've seen on any of my optics that I have ever bought anyway, or I've ever seen. One thing I do like about this optic as well is when you're presenting this gun, it kind of has that hallway effect, that dark hallway effect, because it's a tube, okay? And you kind of get this with AR-15 optics that are kind of the tubes, is when you mess up on your presentation, you can kind of see that dark hallway and you know exactly which way you need to adjust it to get it on point. Now, the way you combat that is obviously training. You got to train yourself. When you present high ready, boom, your dot should be there every time. Going down low, coming up, your dot should be there every time. That is just simply training. But if you're under a lot of stress, you're in a stressful situation, you're in a gunfight, sometimes those kind of things goes out the window, and it's nice to know, oh, hey, I got to follow the hallway to my dot. That is pretty cool. I do like that about this optic. I am running the suppressor height, the Trigicon suppressor height sights on there, and it co-witnesses with this optic. Awesome. I did direct mount this to the Glock 45 slide here. I did not want another failure point, so I did not buy a plate in the MOS system. I did not want to do that, so I bought just a standard Glock 45 slide, not the MOS version, and I just direct milled it to this slide. I really do like the mounting system that they created. They kind of had two channels with a channel going down the middle. I'll show you a photo of that as well so you can see. And the mounting system is on the side, so it kind of clamps. It kind of clamps on there this way. So when the gun is reciprocating backwards, okay, there is absolutely no chance that screw is going to snap off going backwards that direction. I did like that because there's no screws going directly down, and usually that's a big failure point, is when screws are going straight down that direction. So I wanted to make sure that this optic had zero chance of failure, well, very minimal chance of failure, so I directly mounted this. I had to send it off to Jaegerworks, also a Michigan company, to get milled, and they did a fantastic job on the milling of this optic. This optic is sitting in there incredibly tight, which is awesome. Let's talk about the downsides to this optic. One of my downsides is it does come with a tool. It's nice and red. It's actually really easy to see, but really it's just a what is that? It's not a hex. It's really like a star bit on the top. That's actually what changes the windage and elevation, is the little star bit part. It's actually not the fork part on the top. Okay, so you go up there, you can change it left and right. It's very tactile. You probably can't hear that. But on the side as well, very tactile adjustments there. Kind of sucks that it's not like, I like the screwdriver ones like a lot of optics have, where you can just bring, like my multi-tool has like a little tiny screwdriver thing that I can change it. This one, you actually need to have a star bit of some kind to change it. It's not very handy, especially when you're out in the field and you're trying to change this on a whim. Something bad, your optic's off and you have to change it really quickly. It kind of sucks that you have to have a tool of some kind or a star Allen key in order to change the windage and elevation on this optic. That part kind of sucks. One more downside that it has, it's really thick all the way around the outside, and the window itself is kind of small. As I'm going to see if I can be able to see this through the camera there. I'll take some photos for you to see what it looks like. But it's like, it looks very thick. It looks like a big tunnel going down there, like a dark hallway almost. But the dot, you can easily see the dot. Now that's a pro and a con, is you can kind of see through the little dark hallway there, and you can adjust it to where it needs to go, which is kind of nice. With standard red dots, you really can't see. It doesn't really have that hallway look to it. So if you are off when you're presenting, you can tell which way you're off if you look down the hallway, and you can quickly adjust it to the correct spot. But if you train a lot, you shouldn't have that issue. Second part that kind of sucks on this thing is the price. It is incredibly expensive optic. Back when they first came out, when I was first looking at these, they were going for like $700. I wanted no part of that. I ended up getting this one for about 500 bucks. I think I got it on like eBay or something like that. I was able to use my PayPal credit, so I was able to pay it off very slowly, which was really, really nice actually. Is this optic completely worth that amount of money? I'm going to say no. There are better options out there. Am I glad that I got this optic? Yes, I am glad I got this optic. I do not regret buying this optic. I'm glad I have it. It's always going to be on this gun. And as my prepared for craziness gun, if price is an option, is an object, then make sure you either save up to buy this thing or choose a different type of optic. Now, in terms of my hierarchy on this optic, I'd say this is probably in my top three. I'd say this is number 3 on my list of favorite optics that I own, mainly because of the price. It was just incredibly pricey optic. I think there's better options for cheaper out there. Another optic that I'm going to go over is the Holosun EPS, and that is sitting at number 1 in my list, in my arsenal right now. And I know what a lot of people are saying, can I conceal this optic? You can. It depends where you're trying to conceal it. Okay, if you're going 3, 4, 5 o'clock, it's going to be a little bit harder to conceal than it is appendix. I think appendix, this is a lot easier, especially if you're going with a sidecar type holster. Let me use this Tier 1 concealed Axis Slim as an example. I know this is for a light, okay, but it kind of folds right in there with the holster, and there's going to be a spare mag sitting here, so it's going to kind of conform to your body a little bit. It is going to stick out ever so slightly on the top there, okay, but it's not bad. I have had no issue concealing this optic. I just choose not to because I really like this optic. If I've used this in a self-defense shooting, I don't want to lose it. I like it that much. So this is kind of sitting at home. This isn't even my my home defense weapon that's upstairs. This kind of just sits in the safe in case, you know, shit hits the fan or whatnot, zombies attack, whatnot. Okay, this is going straight to my war belt if I ever need it. I wouldn't recommend concealing this with a t-shirt. It can be done. It's going to be a lot harder to do in a t-shirt. I recommend carrying this optic in kind of like the winter fall EDC where you have thicker clothing on. That is probably the best time for this optic to be carried. But anyway, I hope you guys got something out of this video. I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to train hard, get strong, be a protector. If no one said they love you today, I love you guys. God bless you all.